We've seen, I mean, I don't know how much of a role social media is playing in all of this now, because I know there's a Biafra radio, which is on sort of digital platform where there's, of course, there's no regulation for that. We see once in a while videos shot on mobile phones or social media, one of which surfaced last week with alleged IPOB youths stopping buses and trying to find out if there were people of Northern heritage in any of the buses. We don't know why they were looking for them. People say, no, maybe they were trying to kill them or whatever it was, but we don't know what that was meant for. When we see videos like that, as a federal government, how should your reaction be? Or what should your reaction be?
The number one duty of the government is security, the protection of lives and property, the protection of the sovereignty of Nigeria as a nation, and the security of her people. What surprised me was some of those videos were pretty lengthy. There was enough time for the authorities to have reacted, for us to see either police vans coming or whatever to try to arrest the situation and all that. You see, when we appoint policemen, when we create a police force, civil defense and so on, it is because we presume that bad people will do bad things. Those institutions aren't there to earn salaries and for face value. We assume that bad people will do bad things, so we have appointed people to deal with bad people when they do bad things. Okay? Even from the video, we saw maybe 20, 30 groups of IPOB members or people purported to be IPOB members. But that organization, I'm sure, has over 1,000 people on its roll. You cannot demonize the activities of 900 people because of the activities of 10 or 20.
Speaking of security now, and law and order and all of that, now we have heard of Operation Python Dance, which pretty much descended on Abia States, majorly Aba and Umuahia, the two major towns in Abia States. And we saw some videos as well of, young men rolling in mud and made to drink dirty water, and we don't know if any deaths confirmed have happened as a result, but the military is saying that they stand by, sending in troops there. Are we at that point already where we need the military now? The police can't handle this anymore?
Yes, absolutely. I think a show of force in Abia State and the states in the north, in the east, is a strategic decision. Is imperative at the moment. Reason being that we played with Boko Haram, and it escalated from a small group of human beings to the force it is today. While I'm against high-handedness of the military, I think a show of force is an important strategic tool that security apparatuses use to ward off some of these nuisances that happen around us. That said, however, a note of caution is this. You see, there is absolutely no military exercise in history without collateral damage. Absolutely no military campaign without violation of rights. Actually, it is a removal of the violation, it is a removal of the right to live of certain persons that warrants a military exercise in the first place. This is why it must be avoided at all costs. This is why the good people of Igbo land have to do everything humanly possible to avoid any military intervention in the activities of the state. We cannot talk rights once you bring the military in, because it didn't happen in Iraq when the U.S. went there. There were several violations, but in the nature of their job, they have to leave to do their work.
And just sorry to cut you, we've had months now, probably even years, where we started with Masob, before the IPOB. I mean, Wazirike, who is the leader of Masob, has even come out against the IPOB, but that's a whole other conversation. But my point is, we've had endless opportunities to dialogue about this, or to call people to have a sit down.
Yes.
And we did have ones where I think the presidency sat down with traditional rulers, and people were like, if you're going to have this sort of sit down, why is IPOB, who is the main issue, not on the table? I mean, as much as we don't want to validate whatever it is they're agitating for, you need to call them to talk. Why haven't we explored that option?
Let me make a very strong personal opinion here, which is not very common for me, but I'm going to make it. I think, all things considered, the approach of Nnamdi Kanu has been irrational and illogical. I say this because there is absolutely no known political force in Igbo land that is visibly supporting his agenda. That tells me he didn't consult. That tells me he's trying to impose, perhaps, a personal agenda by exploiting the gullibility and poverty in his environment. And so if I was a president of the country and I wanted a conversation with stakeholders, I would worry, really, about how much of a stakeholder in the decision-making process of the East Nnamdi Kanu actually is. Now, while I am for inviting him to have a conversation with him, I would wonder how much of impact that conversation can have. He being not a representative of the people by appointment or by election, he not having demonstrated historically any form of leadership, beneficial leadership in the community, I would wonder, him not having consulted even the people of some of the states he has included in the Biafran agenda. That tells me that this guy is not on the path of logic.
Just before we go now, just quickly now, as quickly as you can, we hear now that he might be at large. We don't know where he is. I don't know if the federal government or the military have found him. But without him in the picture now, does IPOB die? Does the agitation for Biafra die? How do we now go forward from that?
I think any agitation that is done following the laid-down procedure is legitimate. We can't have a conversation about how Nigeria should run or if Nigeria should run. As a person, my personal opinion is that we are better together, that we actually need Nigeria to be much bigger than it is, that there is an advantage in size. I am one of those hopefuls that think that we'll be better off as Africans having a United States of Africa. So I do not think Nigeria is large enough for us to even be thinking of separation. The issues for which we want Biafra can be achieved through the current federal system of government if we allow proper devolution of powers to the governors. And if we enforce accountability in the governors of this, you see, several governors in Nigeria have changed the shape of their states. So if Nnamdi Kanu was that concerned about the eastern states, his first port of call should have been the governors of his state. And right. This is the way I see things.
Well, thank you very much, Leonard. I know you did say that nobody of high standing in the East supports the agenda of Nnamdi Kanu, but it's important to know that a lot of Igbo leaders have spoken up against the military occupation. Ohanaeze has also come out to say that IPOB is not a terrorist organization. We have people like
Obieze
who have also come out and speaking out against the federal government move. So it will be interesting to see how this unfolds in the coming week. We'll take a break now. When we'll come back, we'll have more talk right here on Rubbin Minds. Please don't go anywhere.